Click marches into the kitchen with the confidence of a mouse on a mission. He crosses the doorway, stops dead, and discovers the mission has vanished. Now he is staring at a lamp as if the lamp owes him an explanation. If this has happened to you, congratulations. Your brain just edited the scene. Maybe you wanted your keys, a charger, water, or one extremely important spoon. The intention felt perfectly clear only 3 seconds ago. Then a doorway appeared, the room changed, and the thought became mysteriously unavailable. Psychologists have a wonderfully literal nickname for this: the doorway effect. The viral version says a doorway wipes your short-term memory. That is funny, memorable, and much too strong. Doorways do not contain invisible mind erasers, and the effect does not happen every time. The real story is about how your brain divides continuous life into separate events. Your senses receive a non-stop stream of motion, sound, objects, goals, and people. But your mind does not store experience as one endless security camera recording. It builds a working model of what is happening right now. That model includes the place, the people, the objects, and your current goal. Imagine a tiny stage manager inside Click's head. During one scene, the manager keeps the useful props close and the current goal under a spotlight. When the situation changes, the manager updates the stage for the next scene. A doorway can become a strong signal that the old scene has ended. The information from the old event is not necessarily destroyed. It can simply become less active or harder to retrieve from the new event. The goal is still somewhere backstage, but it is no longer standing under the spotlight. That is why forgetting can feel sudden even though the memory may return later. The classic experiments made this idea look almost comically direct. Participants moved through virtual rooms while carrying colored shapes between tables. Sometimes they crossed the same distance inside one room. Other times they crossed a doorway before receiving a memory question. In the early studies, responses became slower or less accurate after a doorway crossing. The researchers called this a location updating effect. Changing rooms appeared to push information from the previous location farther from immediate access. The door behaved like punctuation between two mental sentences. The effect was not limited to someone playing a simple computer game. Later work reported it with smaller displays and with people moving through real rooms. Returning to the original room did not reliably restore the lost accessibility. Walking back is therefore not a scientifically guaranteed undo button. But psychology becomes more interesting when a famous effect meets a stubborn replication. In 2021, researchers tested doorways across immersive virtual reality, video, and real walking. They also made the virtual rooms look alike to isolate the boundary itself. Across 4 experiments, the broad doorway effect mostly failed to appear. One result did survive under heavier working memory load. Participants counted backward while also trying to remember the objects. After a doorway, they produced more false alarms, confusing which object had been present. The boundary mattered most when the mental desk was already crowded. That fits ordinary life better than the idea of a magical memory-deleting rectangle. You are more likely to lose a fragile intention while juggling several thoughts. The doorway may be one extra context shift, not the sole cause of forgetting. Attention, interference, task difficulty, and the kind of memory test all matter. Newer visual experiments have pushed the story in another direction. People watched a simulated walk through rendered rooms while actively holding pictures in mind. Crossing a visual doorway selectively hurt memory for the first picture from the prior event. Later pictures were less affected, so the clearing was not all or nothing. Even anticipating an upcoming event boundary can change what remains accessible. That suggests the system may prepare for a new event before the threshold is crossed. Your brain is not waiting for the wooden doorframe to attack. It may be preparing for one event to end and another to begin. Why would a useful brain ever make information harder to reach? One proposal is that keeping every earlier detail equally accessible would create interference. When Click enters a kitchen-relevant information may need to beat the details of the hallway. Updating may help information relevant to the new event compete more effectively. Forgetting is not always a storage failure. Sometimes it is part of selecting what should guide behavior now. A thought can remain in memory while losing the competition for immediate attention. The annoying blank moment may be a side effect of an otherwise useful filtering system. Here is the twist that keeps doorways from being simple villains. Event boundaries can sometimes improve later memory. In word list studies, recall was better when material was distributed across 2 events. Why that benefit occurred was not directly established. A 2026 study found a narrow benefit in one higher-powered experiment. Words near the boundary were recalled better immediately after a doorway, but there was no overall memory benefit. The selective effect disappeared after 1 or 2 intervening rooms. The possible benefit is interesting, but weak and sensitive to the test. This explains why movies, conversations, and daily routines feel like episodes. A change in location is only one possible boundary. A new person entering, a sudden goal change, or switching to another browser window can divide events. The doorway is simply the most photogenic member of a much larger family. It also explains why remembering the original context can sometimes feel helpful. The place where you formed an intention contains cues connected to that event. Seeing the unfinished laundry or open notebook may reactivate the missing goal. But physically returning is not guaranteed, because the event model has already been updated. What can Click do before the next dangerous journey to the kitchen? First, make the intention less fragile before crossing the boundary. Say the object aloud, hold up one finger as a cue, or carry something connected to the goal. These are practical reminders, not a proven doorway vaccine. Second, reduce the number of ideas competing during the transition. If you are planning dinner, answering a message, and hunting for keys, write one task down. External reminders do not need to survive a context shift inside working memory. The note carries the goal through the doorway for you. Third, when the thought disappears, pause before inventing a new mission. Mentally replay the final moment in the previous room. What were you looking at, touching, or planning just before you moved? Those cues may help the old event become accessible again. So a doorway is not a delete key. It is closer to a chapter break that tells the brain to update the current scene. Sometimes that update makes an old detail harder to reach. Sometimes it organizes experience and helps memory later. Click finally returns to the hallway and sees an empty mug on the table. The missing mission pops back into focus. He wanted water. He writes water on a tiny note, crosses the doorway, and triumphantly retrieves a spoon. The brain updated the scene correctly. Click simply gave it the wrong sequel.